There I am. Hello. Happy first contact day. I know I'm a little fashionably late. Sort of just miscalculated some stuff when I was getting ready. I had to check on my new arrivals. I think I mentioned last week I adopted two new cats. They're still kind of hanging out in the guest room right now. So I had to check on them. Not that I see them; they're actually hiding from me. They both had a very, very um, tough life so far. One of them, her name's Poison Ivy. She was abandoned by her people who moved. I believe, honestly, probably because she was FIV positive, because it said she had two other cats. Those cats went with the people, but Ivy was abandoned. She was in a really bad way. Hey, Dave! And then the other cat, who I've named Gambit after Gambit from the X-Men, because he's completely orange. He's a big orange cat, and he's a sweetheart. But what happened to him was his human died on March 16th, and by the 20th, soon, I hope, Dave, soon. It's going to be a long road with these two. I am certain. But Gambit was abandoned. I'm sorry, Gambit's human died, and then like 4 days later, the family drops him at the shelter. So he's been depressed and not eating, and so I need to go. I was checking on them, and then a really good friend of mine who I absolutely love was kind enough to get me cameras, because they were literally hiding, and for a while I didn't even know where Poison Ivy was. So now I can see everything that's going on. So, and I literally just opened the door and put a baby gate in front of it. So now they can kind of see what's going on. I was hoping maybe that would make them feel less trapped and more comfortable. It seems to be working for Ivy. I have no idea where Gambit is. I haven't seen him on the cameras all day, but he's so big. I'm sure he's got very limited hiding, and it might piss him off, but I may need just to go in and check on him. Anyway, so that's that. Let's see what else is going on. Oh, here's a big update. For those of you that don't know, they officially announced James Cromwell is going to be at STLV. And I was going to try and dig it up for the show tonight. I actually have a Zephram Cochrane action figure, and considering today is first contact day, I really wanted to show him to you guys. I have no idea where he was. You know what I did do? I took him with me to the one and only Reed Pop official Star Trek convention, because James was there, and I wanted to tell James this story. I did not come by this James Cromwell figure by normal routes. Did not find him on eBay. Didn't find him at a convention. I found him, believe it or not, in the gift shop at the Superman Museum in Metropolis, Illinois. A few years back, my bestie and I did a road trip from Seattle down to visit her daughter, who at the time was living in Kentucky. And so we went all the way across, and I said, great. And we decided there were a couple places we wanted to stop. One of them was Bozeman, Montana. So I actually have put my feet in Bozeman. I have stepped foot in Bozeman, Montana, which is so freaking cool. It's just a tiny little town. We had a pretty decent breakfast at a diner. Service wasn't great, but the food was really good. So I have stepped foot in Bozeman. And then the only other thing I really wanted to do was go to the Metropolis Museum in Metropolis, Illinois. Illinois? Yeah, I think it's Illinois. Anyway, so we went. And we're going around, and I got a t-shirt, Superman Metropolis. I got this really cool football jersey. This says Kent on the back of it. But in the middle of all of this, what do I find but a first contact Zephram Cochrane in the Superman Museum? So, of course, I had to bring him home with me too. So I did pick him up. And then I got to tell James that story. James Cromwell was also in an episode of MASH, which I always thought was really cool. Sorry, guys. I am fighting off another cough, cold. And I am totally taking something for it. In fact, I I sort of took my third dose early because I was hoping to avoid this. So anyway, so he is going to be with us at STLV. Oh my gosh, I'm gonna sneeze again. Oh my goodness. Okay. So James is going to be there. They're up to like 134 people right now, I think. Some other really cool announcements that I have personally. Ooh, that was weird. Some other really cool announcements that I have. Oh, we can just go with the Gesundheit. I'm all about German. Thank you. Thank you, Dave. Oh my God. As we used to say in Yiddish, was just Gesundheit. It was Yiddish. Anyway, so some other really cool announcements. I am working on, cross your fingers, getting a very special Discovery actor finally. I'm not going to say who because I'm not sure if I'm allowed to even say right now because it hasn't been 100% confirmed. Um, but hopefully I will be closing the season out in a very cool way because besides that, I also have this one I can disclose. I am so incredibly excited. Um, I am so incredibly excited. Wally Winger is doing my show. Now, Wally, for those of you that may or may not know, the one place that us nerds probably have seen his name a lot is in the credits of Family Guy. He does a lot of voice work, and one of the big things he does is he works on Family Guy. His name's all over the credits if you watch. But that is not how I know him. And I have a friend who is friends with him. And how I know him is from way back. We're talking 1988/89 when they first introduced, or they first announced the Batman movie, the Tim Burton, Michael Keaton Batman movie, Batman 89. Wally Winger did a parody song. There was a song by the Escape Club called Wild Wild West. Look it up. So there's a song for the Escape Club. Wally Winger came out with this fantastic parody song called Adam West. That is and in fact, I bought the 45 at a convention because back in the day, Creation, when they used to do their New York conventions, yes, they were very Star Trek oriented, but in 89 or 88 or 89, when the Batman movie got announced, there was this huge resurgence, obviously, in Batman, all things Batman, including Batman 66. So, in this particular convention, they had Burt Ward and Julie Newmar. So I have seen both of them. I got to see them both on stage at that convention. It was amazing. Julie had to leave, so I just got Burt's autograph, but I do have Burt's autograph. But anyway, Wally Winger came out with this fantastic parody song called Adam West. And I have the 45, and my friend Emily got him on the phone when we were together, and she introduced me to him, and it turns out not only is he just a fan of all things pop culture and all things just awesomeness and cool, but he's a Star Trek fan and he's a collector. His house is just like basically a pop culture museum in and of itself. He has got the coolest stuff. And Wally has very kindly agreed not only to come on my show, but we're going to set it up where he is going to give us a tour of his house and all the amazing pop culture stuff that he has. So we're going to see, and of course we're going to focus on his Star Trek collection, but he has just got some of the coolest stuff, some original, like, just awesomeness, just absolute freaking awesomeness. I cannot wait to tour his house. He also happens to drive a Gran Torino that looks like the Starsky and Hutch car. I don't know if it is one of the actual studio cars, but we can ask him because he is going to be on the show sometime between now and the season finale, which is going to be May 18th because These Are the Voyages aired on May 16th. That was the final episode of Enterprise, was on May 16th. And so I decided we'll go the extra and I'll end it on May 18th because I like to have my season end around the same time. Since I start around Enterprise premieres, I end around the last episode of Enterprise, which is May 16th. So those are my big announcements. There's another big announcement, but ink's not dry yet, so I can't make other big announcements. But what I can tell you is I believe that I did mention that there's this great convention in Happy Valley that I went to with Tracy Coco. It's the end of February. It's called Happy Valley Comic Books and Collectibles. It's an amazing show. It's an amazing show, run by some really great people. And they were going to have Jonathan Frakes, but unfortunately the timing, somebody didn't quite check the timing. And that show starts the day that the Star Trek cruise comes back. And that's a lot to ask of somebody to go see for 7 days, do the whole Star Trek thing for a week, and then get on a plane on a Saturday to fly up to State College, PA to do it for another day and then go home. That's a lot. Plus all the luggage and everything else. So, unfortunately, Jonathan Frakes couldn't go, which I think he's probably disappointed about it as well, too, because it would have been a trip home. For those of you that don't know, Jonathan's from Bellefonte, which is the next town over from State College, where this is. So I've been talking to the producers of the show. Again, really great. And once some ink is dry, I will hopefully be able to tell you who they are going to be having at the show, and I'm really looking forward to telling you all about that. And hopefully maybe, making it possible for some of you guys to go there. Because the other thing, I know we are going to get to First Contact Day. It is First Contact Day. But here's something else cool that's going on. A little personal at the moment, but I was doing this travel agent concierge thing with a company. It's a very long, convoluted story. Not going to get into it. Suffice it to say, the last little bit, I have not been happy. And you know what? When you're not happy, you change some things. So I've decided that I'm going to go in to do my own travel thing, and what I really want to focus on, and you guys out there are going to be a huge help and a huge inspiration, and already a huge inspiration. I am going to focus on travel specifically in, around, and for conventions. So if anybody needs any help getting to a convention, getting a room at a convention, anything travel oriented for conventions, you come to me. I've already got a cool name picked out, all the stuff. And honestly, I might even announce it here. Before maybe I'll announce it on Facebook first with my friends, like personally on Facebook, and then, hey, Chris Garris, how are you? What I might do is announce it to like my friend circle, but I'll definitely announce it here when I get everything up and running. Because, like I said, if there's one thing that I have learned about this amazing community, is that it's an amazing community and everybody helps everybody. So I'm looking forward to hopefully being of service to fans in the community who maybe aren't so, awesome sauce with travel, or just want to tell people, you know what, there's a whole thing out there where it's just like, this is what I want to do. Tell me how I'm going to do it. Instead of spending your own time trying to figure it out. So as soon as it's ready to be announced, I'm gonna let y'all know, but I'm really excited about that. But moving on to the topic at hand for tonight, it is First Contact Day, which I can't, like I said, so much has been going on in my life, I didn't even realize it until I saw a post about it this morning. I'm like, crap, it's First Contact Day. So I want to talk about everybody's first contacts with Star Trek. Honestly, for me, it was the original series, probably on Philly Channel 48, back when you had your three main networks and then a bunch of local UHF channels. Like you had between channels 2 and 13 were like the network things, and then you had like the higher numbers. Like we had in Philly, we had 17, 29, and 48. 29's actually still around. It's a Fox station now. But 29's still around. 48 and 17, I don't know. 17 might still be around too, but I don't think 48 is. But anyway, I digress. I'm getting nostalgic. That was my first contact. 'With Star Trek was TOS in reruns. I do remember watching the animated series. Again, these would have been in reruns because I wasn't old enough to see either of those. I wasn't born when TOS came out. I wasn't old enough for the original run of the animated series. I was old enough. I remember Encounter at Farpoint. I remember watching all the premieres. I've seen all the premieres when they premiered for yeah, all of them. I have seen all of the premieres on their dates because I remember seeing all those first episodes and how amazing they were and how cool it was just to see Star Trek continue on and on, through, and I remember the chills I got on Farpoint when Data was talking to DeForest Kelley, and the minute that you realize that he's talking to Dr. McCoy, and the whole thing about Enterprise is a lady, you treat her right, she'll always bring you home, all of that. I remember the chills I got with that. I remember watching DS9 being introduced with Sisko and Picard on the bridge, and thinking, "Oh my God, there's somebody out there that doesn't like Picard." Because Sisko had his challenges because of the whole Locutus and losing his wife at Wolf. And I remember how cool it was that Voyager stopped at DS9 before they went on their merry little way. And I remember I was living in Massachusetts at the time when Enterprise came out, and I remember just like everybody else going, WTF, there's words to the theme song. And I also remember falling in love with the theme song, thinking how well it fit. And I remember, oh yeah, Scott Bakula, the guy from Quantum Leap, that I never watched Quantum Leap. So my first contact, except for TOS, has always been when they've premiered. I haven't had to double back. On any of them. I have been there for all the premieres. When it comes to streaming, it's a lot easier because it's not like you have to remember to set your DVR. But I've always been there, and now I've got Dave and Chris are here. So if you guys want to share a little bit of what your first contact with Star Trek was like, if it was TOS. I mean, I know for me, like Doctor Who, my first contact with Doctor Who was actually David Tennant. And then I ended up backtracking into all of the old stuff. Am I ever going to watch all 60? Doctor Who's older. All 60 plus years? Probably not. But thanks to Tennant and Eccleston and everything that's gone forward, I have gone back and rewatched. I have seen at least one episode of every Doctor. And the Paul McGann movie. So, which was terrible because they gave it to America. So I want to hear from everybody that's out there, like, what was your first contact? And if it wasn't TOS, did whatever your first contact with Star Trek make you go back and watch TOS? I see. That's the thing when they do stuff, because it's literally the same thing with Doctor Who. They are very parallel. I watched TOS, except for the fact that I didn't like Doctor Who when I first saw it. But TOS, it's like, okay, it's kind of sort of cheesy, kind of sort of like the effects are really weird and the whole, like, the ship shakes and everything else. But I just loved all the stories, and I fell in love with Trek back then. So then, everything about the Next Gen. Oh, thanks, Dave. Everything about that for the Next Gen, it was just, it made sense. You're further in the future, you got cooler stuff. But if your first contact with Trek was anything besides TOS, if it was any of this stuff going forward, because I've heard this from fans, they look back on TOS and they're like, they can't deal with the 1960s look, and how little effect and everything was so different. The 20 odd years between TOS and TNG. 20 odd years. And then, of course, there are the people that are like, okay, cool. All right. So Chris says, my first series was TNG, and I think my first movie was, whoa. So you just you just jumped right in. So you had to go, you had some rewatching to do to make, I mean, not that four can definitely stand on its own for until the end, until all the charges where you're like, what the hell happened? Four could pretty much stand on its own. If you kind of just, yeah, but I mean, how was that? Did you go back and have to watch all the movies to make four make sense? Let's see. Dave's first contact was TNG, but almost concurrent with TOS watching in syndication with my brother. Oh, that's cool. Oh, that's really cool. So that's the other thing. Like TNG, obviously, the same thing with Doctor Who. Again, the parallel. TNG revisits things. So you kind of, it makes you want to go back, which is also why it made me want to go back in Doctor Who. But it makes you want to go back so that you get all of those references and you get all the old references, so that everything does make sense, and you feel like you're more on the inside than the outside of the fandom. Let's see. I didn't mind the quaint effects of TOS. Actually enjoyed them, but I'm an old fuddy. Aw, Dave, you're an old soul, not an old fuddy. Okay, see, Wrath of Khan is perfect. Correction, 4 was the first one. Oh, got you. 4 was the first one you saw in the theater. Okay, gotcha. I think I'm pretty sure I've seen all the Star Trek movies in the theater. I think at least like Wrath of Khan moving forward is good. Like it stands on its own. Like you didn't need to see the original movie. Gotcha. Now that makes sense, because then, yeah, see, if 4 was like your first one, I would have felt lost, because the beginning and the end, everything in the middle would have been cool, but I would have been wondering about the beginning and the end. I want to say I have seen all the Star Trek movies in the theater. I'm pretty sure I've seen all the Star Trek movies. I was a wee little kid, but I've seen all of them in the theaters. 99.99999% sure. Even my parents don't remember back that far. Like I know I saw Star Wars and Superman in the theaters, and the motion picture came out around the same time, so I'm pretty sure that they took me to see that as well. Because I've always, my entire life, the one takeaway has always been how bored I was when they were doing that fly around the Enterprise in the motion picture. That just always bored the hell out of me. Always bored the hell out of me. At least when they did it in Enterprise, they made a joke out of it when the shuttle at the back of the bottom of the hall and left that little scuff mark that Trip never fixed. They had to get fixed at Dead Stop, which is actually one of my least favorite episodes. It has some moments, but Dead Stop was never one of my favorite episodes. Gotcha. I still own them on VHS. I have the box set. It's probably one of the first box sets for them that came out. It's 1 through 5. And each box, there's plenty of box sets that do. I have a Pink Floyd CD box set that does this too, where with the CDs, where the spines are all different pieces of one picture. So if you put them in the box in the order, it's the Enterprise. So that's the VHS. I have the VHS box set of the first 5 movies. It takes 5 movies to make one Enterprise picture. If you get the Pink Floyd box set, the spines all do the Dark Side of the Moon cover with the prism. So that's what I was just saying. So, but that's what yeah. So I do have that VHS box set. I think I have some of them on DVD. I feel like getting things on DVD now. I have some of the Star Trek movies digitally too. I haven't figured out like how to access them, because I accidentally downloaded it as an Apple instead of a instead of something I could watch on a non-Apple device. But yep, I have them all on VHS. So, the one thing I wanted to say at the beginning, I don't know how long the show's going to be. I am surprised that I haven't started coughing. Because, like I said, I've been dealing with this for like weeks. But I had Wrath. Oh my God, Dave! Laser discs. Damn, I never had I went right from VHS to DVDs. Missed the whole Laserdisc thing. I did used to be a karaoke DJ with Laserdiscs, and I do have friends. I don't know. I mean, I know they have a Laserdisc collection. I don't know if they still have a player, but I actually have friends. Star Wars. I have all the Star Wars. I don't have the. I have the prequels. I have that one little booklet box set that's the prequels and the original trilogy. I don't have the last three movies on DVD, I don't think. But I do have like a couple different VHS versions of the Star Wars movies. Let's see. I stored my VHS in temp stable containers because it was expensive to recycle. There you go. The laser disc. You mean the player? The player, or you mean the player? Yeah. I mean, I actually, and I was just straightening up the room for the cats. I did run across I do still have a VCR. I don't know if it still works, but I do have a VCR. And I do have a TV that'll take the auxiliary the cables, the red, white, and yellow cables. I do have my TV. I don't know if TVs still come with it, but the Samsung that I have downstairs has that on there. Yeah, absolutely. Yep. That is the only way to. Yeah, and it's so funny when you watch them and you're like, well, where's that scene that I thought was in there? And then you realize that was like a broadcast drop in, because sometimes they dropped in scenes that weren't in the original theatrical release. So it goes either way. Superman has a lot of those. Like the TV version of Superman 3 definitely has stuff that wasn't in the theatrical release. And I have Superman DVDs. I have Superman Blu-rays. I actually do have the Richard Donner cut, which is just weird because the Superman, if you guys have not seen the Donner cut of Superman 2, for those of you that don't know, let's get off topic. Yes, it's First Contact Day, but let's see. It's Superman. Okay, first we got to do 6 Degrees of Separation from Star Trek for Superman. This one I don't want help with. This one I will figure out on my own because I just know Superman. Wish Lasso was here. That's very cool, Chris. That's very cool. All right, let's see. There has to be a tie-in. Let's see. Zod, Ursa, Valerie Perrine, Lex Luthor. Oh, wait a minute. No. Why do I think did Gene Hackman do something with Tom Cruise? I want to say that Gene Hackman worked with Tom Cruise. Oh, wait. Don't even need that. Throw all of that out the window. One of the last projects that Christopher Reeve did was called Black Fox with Tony Todd. Done. Forgot about that. Sorry, I forgot about that. Yeah, one of the last things that Christopher Reeve did, it was this. I talked to Tony about it. It was this mini series. He didn't believe I had this. Literally did not believe me. I actually, when I met him, he's like, "You what?" I was like, "Yeah, Christopher Reeve was in it. I bought the DVDs." So the next time I saw him, I didn't take the DVDs. I couldn't find the DVDs, but I had the box that the set came in. Anyway, it was a mini series they were hoping to turn into a TV, like an actual show. Anyway, Black Fox, Christopher Reeve, Tony Todd, Star Trek, done. Okay, now we can talk freely about Superman. The Richard Donner version of. Okay, thank you. The Firm. I knew. Thank you. I knew they worked together, but see, I got there even quicker. Thank you. But I do feel better because that would bug me trying to figure out the two of them work together. Okay. So, for those of you that don't know, and if you watch Lois Lane's hair length in Superman 2, it will absolutely. Firm was good. Wilford Brimley got beaten up, and I'm not a big Wilford Brimley fan. Anyway, if you look at Lois's hair length in Superman 2, it changes. The reason it changes is because Richard Donner was shooting Superman 1 and parts of 2 concurrently. So there was a lot of stuff that was shot for Superman 2 during 1. Then the Salkinds fired Richard Donner and hired somebody else who had a different vision for Superman 2. So the Superman 2 that was theatrically released was not the Richard Donner version. So what they decided to do was, by getting a hold of a lot of stuff that had already been shot that wasn't used, and then dropping in things like one of Christopher Reeve's screen tests, black and white screen test, Christopher Reeve, Margot Kidder. They dropped that in there, so all of a sudden, color, black and white scene, moving on. And that was actually the pivotal scene. That scene that they dropped in, I'm talking about Superman, I think Lex. Yep. Talk about Superman. Lex is coming in the office. The pivotal where she finds out his secret was completely different, and they dropped the screen test in. And that's how she figured out he was Superman, not the whole jumping in the river and then falling in the fireplace. Lex, come here. I don't know if my mic's good enough to pick him up, but he is definitely in the office. He's meowing. He's a mouthy little thing, my Lex. So anyway, I got the Blu-ray of the Richard Donner version of Superman 2. It is incredibly interesting. It's hard. It's weird to watch because you're watching a Blu-ray, so you're like, ooh, high quality, and then all of a sudden it's like this black and white grainy screen test. But obviously, there was no choice. But yeah, it's really interesting, and like I said, you get to see one of the screen tests, which is pretty cool. But like we were saying, it's just because when you watch something on TV, at least the way it used to be, it has to be even. Either has to end on the hour or the half hour. And in order to do that, they either had to add or subtract. Or if there was something that wasn't, right or whatever. So they were adding. So yeah, sometimes if you have old videotapes of when you taped these movies on TV, I think my friend, I have a friend that probably does. You notice that there's actually stuff that you're like, oh, that was in the movie, and then you watch the actual theatrical release, and you're like, where is it? It was just in the TV version. Yeah, it is, Chris. If you are a Superman fan, specifically Christopher Reeve, but or Superman in general, I highly recommend getting a hold of the Richard Donner version. I think, don't quote me on this, I think HBO Max has it to stream. I think. Because, of course, HBO Max. And just like all the other streaming services, they have to recommend things. And if I sit around watching the Justice League and Harley Quinn and Poison Ivy, then it's going to start recommending all of it. Plus, Superman, which of course I watched, which is amazing as well. But yes, I do own Superman 3 and 4. What I refused to own, there was a really great box set that came out a few years ago. Had all the Supermans plus 5. It had all the Reeves plus 5. And I refused or plus Returns was supposed to be Superman 5. I would not buy it because Superman 5 was in it. I don't know why I keep calling it that. Superman Returns. I thought Brandon was terrible. I don't think it was his fault. I think somebody told him to be Christopher Reeve. Because, I mean, let's face it, if you're the director, Bryan Singer should have just stuck with the X-Men. If you see somebody, an actor, doing exactly what Brandon was doing, which was trying really hard to act like Chris, and that's not what you wanted, then as the director, you could be like, no. Don't do that. Do your own interpretation. So I believe that somebody somewhere along the line told him to be more like Chris. So I don't think it's all his fault, but I didn't like him as Superman. I know a lot of people think he did. A lot of people, I just saw this the other day. A lot of people were excited that he got a chance to be Superman again. During the whole crossover thing, Crisis on Infinite Earths, with the CW DC verse, the Arrowverse. I was like, yeah. My favorite part of that was Burt Ward was walking a dog. That I thought was really cool. That Burt Ward was walking a dog. Same way I thought it was cool that the original Billy Batson was in Shazam 2. I watched Shazam 2 the other couple weeks ago, and I'm like, there he is. I love those little things. I mean, even more than like the Stan Lee cameos. I love it. I love those little cameos where, you know, like Lucifer showing up in Crisis was hysterical. You know, those little things. Or like I said, like it was Earth 66, and there's Burt Ward walking a dog on Earth 66. Yeah, I actually had an argument. Again, Lasso, you're not here to defend yourself, so that's TDB. Lasso and I one year when we were hanging out in Nashville had a debate which was worse, Superman Returns or Superman 4, because even Christopher Reeve acknowledges that Superman 4 was bad. A lot of that also had to do with the editing. I just saw online there was a lot of there was literally stuff where like that just did not make sense in Superman 4 because the editing was that bad. It was that bad. But I will argue to anyone who asks me which was worse, Superman 4 or Superman Returns, and I will tell you Superman Returns. For a lot of different reasons. The main one obviously being Christopher Reeve wasn't in the suit. But the entire premise was flawed from the beginning. Why? Well, because Superman Returns was they literally dropped it between 2 and 3, and basically they wanted to forget 3 and 4 ever happened. So this was supposed to take place 5 years after Superman 2. Well, okay. And where was he for those 5 years? Off planet. What was the last thing he said in Superman 2? Sorry I let you down, Mr. President. It'll never happen again. And then what does he do? Leaves the planet? He literally apologized to the president because he was off with Lois and lost his powers and Zod took over. And he said it would never happen again. And then he leaves the planet. So the entire premise was flawed right from the get. Kevin Spacey's performance was terrible. Only Gene Hackman could pull off the manic craziness that was Lex Luthor, but temper it with that genius and hold it all together. So, like, you knew he was crazy, but you didn't see it. Spacey went from 0 to 100 in, like, 2 seconds. The whole thing about the kid, this is definitely spoiler alerts. The whole thing about Lois's kid being Superman's kid. One Pomeranian eating another, I thought was like completely unnecessary. I thought that was terrible. Parker Posey was useless. So yeah, those are, I mean, I know this is supposed to be about Happy First Contact Day, and I'm ripping apart Superman Returns, but I am always true to myself, and if anybody knows anything about me and the show is all about tangents. So that's my tangent on Superman Returns versus Superman 3 and 4. No Christopher Reeve. And listen, I love Henry. Don't get me wrong. I love Henry. David's going to grow on me. I need to rewatch Superman, but David's going to grow on me. I think the actor, Young Beast is what I call him because I don't remember his name, but the actor that played Lex Luthor I thought was great. I thought he was absolutely great. He did a really good Lex Luthor for the Superman. On Supergirl. That's right now. I think I have to watch it before I make my final decision, but I'm on the fence about Supergirl right now, but I can feel another cough coming on. And to that end, I've got some nighttime drugs waiting for me. I've got a cat I need to go find. And you guys told your first contact stories. Amazing. We are getting so much closer. I think when first, wait, hold on one second, guys. Let me see something here real quick. I'm going to look something up real quick. Okay, so 2063. Okay, let me see something, because the one. Okay, so it's conceivable that I will still be around doing this in 2063. So how about this? First Contact Day, actual First Contact Day 2063. I will do a live show from Bozeman, Montana, and you are all invited. We'll all just go in. I have a feeling Bozeman, Montana is going to get invaded on April 6, 2063. I have a feeling that they just need to understand that right now. Oh, shoot. I could have thanks for checking, Chris. I could have sworn I saw it. I think I mean it's still out there for purchase, I'm sure, but I could have sworn I saw the Donner cut scroll past me. But thank you for checking. I appreciate that. So let's all make a plan. There you go, Chris. We'll all still be around. Let's make a plan. Even if we're in our robot bodies by then, who knows? We all should make a plan to gather in Bozeman, Montana. I'll do a live broadcast. I think we should probably make the hotel reservations now. As a travel agent, I will do that for anybody who wants to go. But and I do realize the one thing I have not done yet, and I have about, I think, 5 more shows to go. Oh, so I'm not crazy. They just pulled it. All right, thanks, Chris. I'm not crazy. They just pulled it. Yeah, exactly. That's why I said I will just still be around. You and me, Dave, we get it. Let me see. How many shows do I have before the end? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right. I've got 6 shows left. Right now, definitely 1 is spoken for, possibly 2. But before the end of the year, I will definitely be doing a 60th anniversary. Oh, that's right, Chris. You got a new hip. Congratulations. I will definitely be doing a 60th anniversary retrospective on Star Trek. Maybe that's how I'll end the season. Maybe not. Maybe I'll be ending the season with a really cool interview. Who knows? There you go. Yep, it should definitely still be in working order by then. Absolutely. Just take care of it. We'll get you an oil can, like the Tin Man on. Sorry, kidding. My cousin got her hip replaced a while ago. It's important, and I know that it. Yeah, I know what a difference it can make. So I am sincerely happy for you. Is what I'm trying to say. Okay, guys. Like I said, it's back there. It's lurking, that horrible cough that I don't like anybody else to hear. So, happy First Contact Day for everybody. We'll make a plan, live broadcast in 2063 from Bozeman. We'll all meet there. We will all meet there and have good, hopefully that diner will still be there. If not, I'm sure we'll find someplace else to eat. Maybe we'll go looking for a statue. I think that's the plan. Let's go look for a statue or build one. One or the other, right, guys? All right. Thank you guys for hanging out with me tonight. Happy First Contact Day as it comes to a close. And remember, until I see y'all again, please don't forget,